Here's a little comparison of some 440 heads, stock OEM 440 heads. This one uncut, untouched. This one has squish band cut down and some minor changes to the combustion chamber, mostly the angle to match the piston dome angle. And this is a 440 head that's been cut down, chambers redone, probably runs about 200 psi compression. This one about 170, and this one, the stock, I would assume like 150 probably. Here's a little side view. You could see how much has been machined off. This is a 200 psi. This one over here is the stock one, considerably thicker. This is the slightly modified one. So the rules for 440 SuperStock were that you had to use a 38mm carburetor, which was the stock carb. You could modify it, but you couldn't change the bore diameter. So here's a stock 38 with a K&N air filter adapter. Well, you could see the throat still has the Venturi and the sight glass in it. And then here is a 38 that was modified. This was pretty common. A lot of people used carbs like this. They were bored straight through. The Venturi is gone, but still maintaining 38mm. These work really good. They weren't that great on low end, but boy would they pull up top. And back in the day, a lot of regional racers would have a 440 SuperStock, and that's all they would have. They would race it in that class, and they would race it in the mod class. It'd be very competitive. Some of the other tricks were speeding up the flow and stuffing the intake manifolds with epoxy to speed that flow. So here's a stock one. You could see how it looks in that large casting hump for the bolt and the throat. And here's one, the way we would modify them. We would epoxy the whole bottom in to smooth the flow and have minimal disturbance. Pretty common, was allowed and done by almost anybody that built a 440 SuperStock. There's a quick look at a highly modified 440 cylinder and a stock cylinder. So those are stock intakes. You could see no bridge, and you could see how narrow the ports are and the height. And then you look at this modified one, and you could see how big the ports are in comparison. Here's a look at the inside from the bottom of the motor. And there's the stock one. You can notice the transfers as well. Much larger, much wider. Roof angle's been changed. There's a shot of the exhaust ports. You can see that they've been raised and shaped differently. The width is pretty close to 60% of the bore width, which is pretty common. And there's the stock ones. And, I mean, once you look at the stock cylinder and you look at this modified cylinder, you can see how different it is. These motors really worked well, especially when they were paired with the right pipe.